Welcome to Group Coaching with Market Mastermind. This is Cedar, and we are covering key structure levels today. So going to be recording this and posting it in the Discord group, just in case you'd like to rewatch it or are missing it on the original live coaching session. So let me know, tag me if you have any questions in Market Talk as I'm going through, and I'll come back in and answer them as we wrap up the video this afternoon. So I have my chart open. Last week, my apologies, I actually didn't stream it live inside the group. I just recorded it, so got on top of that. So I have two streams running right now. Cedar live stream is running the ES 30-minute execution chart that I stream all day, all week long. But I also have my personal account here that I am on voice with that has just a blank daily ES chart on it that we're going to mark some structure on. So if you want to open up two of them, you would have to pop out the first window as far as Discord allows you to actually pop that window out, and you can tile it off to the side and watch the second one, or just hop over to the new window. All right, making sure all my tech is set up here. Recording's going, screens are on. Okay. We have covered VRVP, visible range volume profile. So if I pulled that up, and we are going to use that as part of today's, we're kind of growing this into a bigger picture kind of outlook in how we're doing our analysis. So we're building off of each of those sessions. If you haven't watched that one, that was our first group of coaching session, and it is in the recordings. It will definitely help to kind of see what those philosophies are. So we're going to add that. And if you've been around for a while, you know that I keep this up to see those high time frame levels. Like we can see volume point of control, and the visible area that we have on the screen is 5273.50. But as we zoom in, I don't use it quite as much. So I'm going to go ahead and have that available on the chart, but I don't want it visible right now. This just helps with the building. Next one we're going to add is PVP, periodic volume profile, because I want to see what our monthly levels are. So right now it's defaulted to 1 day. We're going to change that PVP to 1 month. There we go. I adjust some of the items. I want I'll leave my value area. Row size is 2000. But I'm going to change this. I sometimes leave it the value area, which is this section right here, light blue. And let's go ahead and leave it that way. There's times that I have those both be the value area inside and outside be gray, so just lighter and darker, but this gives us a better contrast, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to check the lines to see if we're 1 point, because I don't like them to be too thick. And then if you're just coming into that indicator and you want to save that as your default, clicking save as default makes it where you don't have to change them, because some of these will be a little bit different from what the indicator populates as its default. Okay, this only gives us the last 6 months worth of volume. Looks pretty dramatic once you do that. It looks dramatic anyway. The trading right now, as I've been talking about in Market Talk, is on hard level. Like thinking about it from a video game perspective right now, we are in a very challenging trading environment. I don't trade off 1 minute candles. However, I watch them for the size and the volatility just to see what kind of ranges we have. And we have like $6 to $10 or $11 1 minute candles. It's not normal. So we've been seeing a series of selling off here in the market recently. So we're going to just look back onto previous months, because we are trading into previous months ranges. So it's a very appropriate time, I think, to cover this and just mark some levels. So making my price scale taller, I'm going to come in with some horizontal lines and mark the low of each of these months, the high, and I'm going to come back in and fine tune the lines in just a little bit, but I'm just dropping a whole bunch of lines in right now. Value area Yeah, I'm going to have to readjust everything. It's my magnet tool is not helping us. Okay. So value area high, and we learned value area high and low and volume point of control, those things from the VRVP. This is a fixed range volume profile or periodic. I like this indicator because it's fixed on the period that I choose, either daily, weekly, or monthly. So I'm marking high of the month. And if you want to be very technical, you would hover over that candle and go candle high is 53.8750. Value area high, volume point of control, value area low, and I guess we got to get a little closer to this profile and see. Yep. Okay. So bottom of this candle, the low of the candle is 51.9050. And we've got that right there. So if I just put a bunch of lines, it's going to be really hard for me to know what they're for. So I go in and edit the text on each of these. And I would heavily recommend, if you're new to this, saving them as defaults. I'm not going to, just typing them in. So we've got March. Notice we're currently rejecting the March volume point of control. And this is something that I mark always on my B adjusted. So the back adjusted, because we are on the front month contract, ES exclamation point 1. There have been times in the past that I actually chose not to do it on the B adjusted, and it ended up causing me troubles because you can only see them over the last 5 or 6 months, and it's harder to go back and build them in. So I leave everything on B adjusted in this particular environment, because looking forward, they seem to be more relevant as we're coming back in to test the levels. So VAL, value area low. Oh no, that one is this one. Okay, I'm off just a little bit. So value area high is the top blue line. VPOC is that center red line. And you can adjust your visibility. I'll show you what that looks like in just a little bit, so you can see it over the indicator over the lines. So double clicking on the indicator. Yep, that's my PVP. So visual order, I'm going to bring it to the front so that the volume point of control actually shows over. So it's just a little bit more visible. So there's 2 different ways you can approach. You could have saved each of these as a template. I did that originally because it drove me crazy to type all of them in. So you can see I've got all kinds of them saved already. I hardly ever use them, but I took the time to do it originally because I felt like it took me time. So that's up to you if you want to save them as a default, so you can just hand select them. I do like to mark the monthly close. And then we just have to repeat that forward. So, oh, look, the monthly close is the high of the month for April, right? So you start to see some coincidences that are not so much coincidences. There's value area high. There's volume point of control. Oh, look, another coincidence. Value area low. Wick low and close. So I'm going to go ahead and mark them for all of the months that we have visible. And then we'll go in and just change the names. I think that's probably our fastest way. And if we weren't trading in these ranges, I probably would be less interested in it for our purposes. But I do think you should go in if you're doing analysis on a different name, depending on where you're trading. If you have traded in those ranges before, you want to be aware of what the structure is. Month. And then we'll just go in and name them. So there's value area low, volume point of control. Very spectacular ranges here. So some of them, you're going to see this duplication, right? We've got our low, so we're going to have to stagger the names. They are stronger right there if they've got two levels that hit there, and you'll see that in just a second. There's one thing I'm missing here. Month closes. All right. Month close there. Month close there. So if it's confusing to see all these lines, there is another way to do this, and it would be month by month, but I'm just dropping all the lines in and then go in and name them. But that's up to you if it is too confusing to have too many lines. Okay. Into April, we've already done March. So starting from the bottom, April low. That's the close. So I'm use it as a cross check of visual identification and to take these lines into consideration. So since this one doesn't have a name, I know it's something I recently added. That is the April close, 53, 51.32, 75. Well, maybe. Next one up doesn't have a name, so it's not on this chart. So next one that's actually on the April chart is value area low. I think it will be easier to do them 1 month at a time. Visual order is in the front. So next one, volume point of control. The more you look at these, the easier they are to identify. But I would heavily recommend doing them 1 month at a time now that I'm coming back to do this and thinking about it if I were watching this for the first time. High. And I marked this as high a month, but it's up there, which is why it's nice to be zoomed into the chart. Okay. There's May. We'll start from the bottom. Don't have a monthly low, missed that one. There's value area low. ES made it to the tick up to the ADR high as we've been recording this video. So if you're trading, that would be a definite indication for long profit. I was talking about the 53.14 in earlier trade today, made it there. It was just too volatile for me to hold it. Volume point of control level adjusted. Value area high. So it's the same structure on each of these. I'm just moving forward month by month. And then back to the bottom into June. Catching that wick low. Oh. I think that's May trade. Look at that. All right. Oh, look at that number that we're looking at right now. June 2024 low is 53.1175, right near the center of gravity, COG, which is numbers ending in 11 on ES, which is also our ADR. Well, our ADR high is slightly above there. So all of these numbers, even though it seems kind of crazy to have this many lines, when we start to get them overlapped, you start to see from a different lens how much resistance there is overhead right here. So that's for July. So one of the reasons I left the value area as blue, this is outside value area, this is inside, is it lets me catch it a little bit easier when I've got all of these marked already. So that's May value area low because it enters the blue zone. Here's May. Volume point of control because it's the red. Change the visibility order. Nope, it's on front. Okay, we just switched over. And value area high. So you do not have to go to the settings. So you can use the tool selector up here and go to the gearbox for the settings for an individual horizontal line. I just double click them to go catch them. This is all June, isn't it? I'm going to be mad. Copy and paste got me. Volume point of control. Back to what we marked as May value area high. It's June. And this is all part of how charting lets you just get a deeper picture. And the more you can, like if you mess up, delete all the lines and see if you can do them again. I'm going to change that visual order because I can't select it, send it to the back since they're on top of each other. That should let me pull up. Okay, that's March, so I don't have to do anything with it. We've got June low, cross-checking. June value area low. And you guys have heard me say this a bunch. It's like horseshoes and hand grenades as far as these lines are 1 point lines. Technically, we want to think about it like a big wide highlighter. So it's a wide swath like 4 point, but I want them right on the value areas. I just don't want a 4 point line on my chart because then it would just be solid lines all the way through. So value area low, since I messed that one up, I'm just double checking. June. June, June. Okay, so now we're in July. So some of those duplicate lines that I added are now starting to show up. So you have two numbers here that were in different months. One of them's already marked as the May 2024 high. So we have another one underneath it. So we're going to go visual order, send to the back, click away, reselect. Now I should be able to go July, low. Remember to copy it this time. Sizing the candles down to go find my value area because it is much harder to navigate. Looks like I did not drop that line. Remember, I was just dropping them pretty quick. This is value area low. And I'm going to move it over just a little bit to the right because they're only 2 ticks apart. So once we make it be a reasonable size candle, you can read both of them. And then go find July volume point of control. And value area high. And July high right there. So we have developing profile happening in August. So that's what we want to really look at. Now we have context of what the levels are that we're trading in. And we have traded in this range a bunch, and this lets us be a lot more clear. So I put older or lower consequence numbers. So stuff that happened in March is less important than stuff that happened in May to the left. So the stuff that's closer to the line, we have to go see what that one is more important for me mentally. One of these is May and one's July. So I'm going to go visual order, sent to back. So the real question is, what does this belong to? Oh, that is May. Close. So ultimately, once I go through this and start looking at levels, I should not have anything that doesn't have a name. So May close is above the March high. Ooh, I don't know what that's for. So like I mentioned before, I think it would be easier for you to do them 1 month at a time. I definitely chose the hard level. Speaking of hard levels. So it's June 2020. But it's kind of like reconfirmation. So why do I have a level there is always a beautiful. So June volume point of control is in here twice. Check that out. So cross-checking yourself. June 2024, June 2024, and duplicate. And I do have people say to me, why don't you just have an indicator? And there are indicators that will mark a lot of this. For me, part of my preparation and trading is going through this process. And now it won't be hard to add the high and the low of the month, value area high, value area low, volume point of control, and close. I used to mark the open. It seemed to be less relevant, so I don't do that anymore. But I'll go in and now add that moving forward with B adjusted all the way through each of the months. And because that indicator disappears, then I have it in a very messy chart, but I have it for when we have bigger retracements or bigger drawdowns, that we've got the structure that doesn't have a lot to do with the VRVP, but we can turn it on and see what what that indicator tells us once we analyze what we're doing with ES right now. So we have an inside day. We had a very large, if we want to measure, we would use the ruler tool and go wick high to wick low from yesterday. So 223 from 51.22 to 53.45 was our range yesterday. That's a really big range on ES, right? So an inside day can still be a monster day. And so far, setting up as green. So looking at key structure, what did we fail to get? We failed to get March 2024 value area low. So we're trading inside March's value. We like those value levels, although that was 4 months ago. So, you know, a little bit further back. What becomes important is, as if we retrace deeper, it will be nice to have known the previous levels. So you can go in and use replay if you want to have the previous month's level to go all the way back into the start of 2024. If we do, and who knows, right? It's literally nobody knows. So currently what we're rejecting off of, we have a cluster of lines here. We've got April's volume point of control, March's value area high, and June 2024 low. That, aside from this clustered level at 53.88-ish range, so I think of that more as that highlighter kind of concept, even though they're slightly different from each other, it's close enough for hand grenades, horseshoes, and trading, that this is our resistance. If we can close a daily candle above here, even if you're not looking at anything else, and I do keep one of these charts up off to the side. It's one of my smaller charts, but that way I'm aware of that higher time frame key structure kind of perspective. All right, let's zoom out now that we've got our mess of a chart made. So these are all built off the high and the low of the month and your volume profile from the monthly. Weekly, I will look at if there's contention in an area with these bigger ranges. I don't even, like, if you want to mark, I mark previous week high, PWH, and previous week low, PWL, on my execution chart. And I don't mark these levels because at a certain point, all you would have is lines on your chart. We're testing above overnight high again on ES here, and still finding we have a failure to close any 30-minute candles above the overnight high. So no trades for me. And I tend to not trade during these group coaching sessions, or postpone them and record them with you guys later if that's the case, but I can't touch this. So we're going to turn the VRVP back on so we can see what this volume looks like. And lo and behold, this cluster we were just talking about, oh, we actually didn't even catch that one yet. That's just one of the big clusters of three. So I look for the ones that are threes or greater. Up here at 55.31, next one, 54.31, next one, 53.91, next one, 53.17. So they coincide with the high volume nodes of VRVP. It's just another way for you to look at the chart. So I will not leave the VRVP on this one unless I'm really struggling thinking, okay, because of this, how much resistance is here? So we've got how many levels right here? Let's take our candles back to taller. We've got 3 levels right here, but above us is very low volume. So May high, even though this has a lot of levels here, if we can get back above that range, it'll be pretty easy move back up into the July to test July value area low, or the July value area, and the June 2024 close. So that gives us that context that we're building off of from volume profile, a little bit bigger picture than what, well, this chart tells us a little bit right here. So there is a very low area volume created by this candle on June 12th. And we came back in and traded in here and put more volume. And we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, putting more volume in here at this 54. I think that low area was 54.90-ish range. We'll have to go back. Let's see, 54.30 from the previous 2 weeks previous, I think. Okay, yeah, this whole area, we're still putting volume in here. We didn't put as much volume as I expected, but the July 2024 close was right above that. So it's just building a bigger picture of what you should be looking at, what you should be taking into context, instead of just going, all right, let's flip onto the 30-minute chart just for fun. So I can have my trend lines, I can be looking at this, but I want to have a better context, not having VRVP on, because that will lead me astray. So if you're struggling, getting lost, not seeing the forest for the trees, my recommendation would be to go through and mark up a chart. So we're going to name this as daily. So it reminds me that they were marked on daily, and everything is white on here. So white lines for me are daily or lower time frame, but daily monthly levels. Let's just call it monthly levels. So now that's saved as one of my options, because I do keep multiple options open. I don't want to have everything on the same chart. It will drive me crazy. All right, there's your higher time frame key structure. And we will move into what's on the execution chart in next week, previous day, 2 days prior, and go from there.